Mr. Chairman. I happen to chair the subcommittee that oversees federal buildings. The first federal building I went into, they had 1,500 square feet per employee. That's a little bit more than a cubicle. So it's been my request and the request of the President to reduce the federal footprint of federal properties, and we've done that so far. The agencies have complied, and to date we've saved $2.9 billion in the agencies that have now moved into spaces that are 180 square feet or less per employee. So I appreciate Homeland Security working with us. It's going to be a beautiful facility, and at the same time there'll be more money for your mission rather than wasted space that most Americans don't have in their day-to-day jobs. So that's sidebar, and I think, again, I appreciate you working with the committee. Mr. Secretary, the 9/11 Commission taught us that to terrorists, travel documents are just as important as weapons. It's the preferred method of entry into the country for terrorists. Come here legally and then just stay, disappear into the mainland. Nevertheless, our government continues to fail at keeping track of who has entered our country and whether they've left or not. And if you are home to an international airport, your state, you essentially live in a border state. This is a point I have consistently raised since joining this committee, and that's why I have again introduced legislation that makes a simple tweak to our laws. As we all know, if someone illegally crosses the southern border, they are unlawfully present in the United States. If someone comes in on a visa and then overstays their visa, they are unlawfully present in the United States. In fact, over 40% of the people that are here illegally didn't cross the border illegally. They come on a visa and they don't go home. Yet the penalty is very different, even though both people in this situation have the same legal status, unlawfully present. Their status is the same. So why is the penalty different, and why doesn't it make sense for the penalty to be the same, a criminal and not a civil offense? And just last month, we saw a reason why this isn't a debate club argument, but an issue that impacts my constituents at home. A Ukrainian national most likely lied to get into this country. Authorities say he came to the United States on a 3-month work visa, then got a tourist visa that expired in March 2013. He then enrolled as a freshman at a Harrisburg school just 6 months later. He took on a false identity, a fake name. He lied about his age. He started school as a freshman, a 20-year-old freshman in our schools. His, quote, surrogate parents, Stephanie McClure Potts and Michael Potts, helped enroll him with fake documents. The criminal complaint said that they also helped him get a Pennsylvania driver's license under the name of Asher Potts in 2014. He's being charged with multiple offenses, including theft, identity theft, tampering with public records, conspiracy, and statutory rape. Now, his surrogate parents say he talked about attacking students at his high school. Nothing could be more chilling than the thought of terrorists enrolling as students. Previously, we've heard of terrorists taking flying lessons, but imagine them sitting next to your kids in algebra class. The fact that this has happened in central Pennsylvania shows how serious this is. Imagine if instead of being a 23-year-old Ukrainian national named Artur Samarin posing with the name of Asher Potts, this man had an Arabic or Hispanic last name. That sure would get everyone's attention, and this is the same thing no matter what his name is. If they heard that someone overstayed their visa, had created false documents, joined the ROTC, and talked about wanting to join NASA, and had allegedly made threats to attack students. Now, we've seen concrete evidence in Harrisburg. Where else is this happening? How many more Asher Potts are there? Nationwide, my question is, how many individuals have overstayed their visas, falsified their identities, lied about their age, and are sitting in school classes today?
Congressman, a couple of things. First, the visa overstay report that was recently released reveals that with regard to those who entered on B1, B2 visas, year to year, the population of those who overstayed at any one time, that could be a day or a year, is somewhere around 400,000. I don't have the exact number, but it's reflected in the report. I'm going to agree with the spirit of your question. I think that in this current environment and this current threat environment, the potential for fraudulent travel documents is a big concern. So I've done a lot to support DHS's fraudulent documents lab, which we have. We have the capability to detect fraudulent documents. I also have asked our folks to, now that we have some better clarity on visa overstays, develop priorities for enforcement with regard to visa overstays. Right now, priority 3 reflects, in my policy, reflects those who, I can't remember the exact words, commit fraud of the system, but I've told our folks we need to develop priorities within the visa overstay population to get at this population. I think that there is, I think there's a concern we should all have about fraudulent travel documents.
Especially if they could get in our schools, lie about their age, and you know, there wouldn't be a more horrific crime here than what kind of, if you can use your imagination of what could happen. And don't you think that penalties should be the same? If you cross the border or you overstay your visa, you're still unlawful, your status is the same, you're unlawfully present here. Shouldn't the penalties at least be the same?
I'd have to think about that a bit more. I'm concerned about the fraudulent travel document problem because of the migration crisis we have, primarily. I understand the spirit of your question too, but that is my concern.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks. Chair recognizes Mr. Payne.
Thank you, Mr.